Growing up in the church, there was a lot of expectations, and I felt the pressure, definitely. It wasn't until I was about 14 that I did feel that pressure a lot. People would ask my mom questions about how they were raising me, what they should do, and I felt like judgment instead of asking how to raise their kids. I just got fed up with that pressure, and instead of clinging to the Lord to change my heart, I chose to go and drink. I started drinking with friends that were from my school. I went to a private school, and we all were trained on how to be fake because of the way that we chose to play the game. We weren't walking the walk, we were talking the walk, and we did it well. When I was 18, I started using every drug I could get my hands on, whether it was coke, meth, heroin, fentanyl. My ex-boyfriend's dad was never home, so we just tore up the house as easy as that. We were always there drinking, and we still went to church and still were making it look like we were doing the perfect thing, but we were really good at hiding and manipulating the situations. We both just felt like we couldn't be around each other unless we were high. The way that I was portraying love was to get him his next fix so he wasn't angry with me. And to get that fix, I also wanted to be numb. I didn't want to feel the pain of him possibly not loving me. I cared so much about what he thought about me that I was able to cloud my vision to make it something different. By the time I was 23, I was only weighing 89 pounds, and that was the darkest part of my addiction. I didn't care what anybody else thought. I didn't care how my parents were feeling. I didn't care about my brother. All I cared about was me, and when I was gonna get my next fix. At the end of the year, my 23rd year, I realized that there was no way to get numb anymore. I couldn't fill that hole that was for Jesus, and I had been filling it with all the drugs and the alcohol I could imagine. The loneliness was impeccable. I was completely overcome by darkness. So I tried to end my life, and the Holy Spirit met me there and gave me the strength to stop and go get help. I went to my parents, and they suggested U-Turn for Christ. They said that they could help me, and it was a Christian-based program, and so I was all for that because those were my roots. So I chose to give it a try, and they put me on a plane a day later to come to Paris, California, and I stayed at the ranch for 2 months and then graduated first phase and ended up staying a floater month and going back home to Washington. I ended up diving right back into the group of friends that I had before. And when something came up that was not the greatest news, I chose to go and use instead of clinging to the Lord. When I chose to come back to U-Turn in September, my dad and I drove down from Washington, and we read Romans together for the 19-hour drive that we drove back to Paris. And the book of Romans is all about how you're dying to yourself and surrendering, and at that point it clicked. Surrendering's a process. I'm not gonna get it all at once. I figured if I surrendered once that the Lord would just do whatever, and it wasn't a process. I had to do it daily. I have to surrender every single day and die to my flesh. And so the second time coming through U-Turn, the Lord showed me the story of the prodigal son in Luke 15. Basically the son taking everything that he possibly could, like his inheritance, his future, and taking it all and going and just spending it on nothing but scum. And when I came back, the Lord was telling me, like, you've smashed me down to the ground, and yet I'm still here to welcome you with open arms. And that right there changed the way that I looked at the relationship with God that I have. I'm a prodigal daughter that the Lord has brought back into his house.